Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for this afternoon's press conference reaction. Of course, Eddie Howe has been speaking to the media ahead of the game at Crystal Palace tomorrow night, which is, of course, an 8 o'clock kickoff. And our coverage on Matchday Live will start right here on the Toon review at 7:30. With build-up to the game, followed by, of course, our normal play-by-play commentary of the game, analysis, and then, of course, the match reactions on YouTube and on Patreon. So a lot coming up on the Toon review. So if you do enjoy today's show as well, please do give it the thumbs up. And, of course, if you're new, please do subscribe. It's free to do so. And if you like what you see, also hit the notification bell, and that'll let you know when we schedule our live shows or we upload any recorded shows as well. Right now, Eddie Howe has, of course, been speaking to the media ahead of the game. And, it's safe to say that some interesting comments were made today with regards to Lewis Miley, etc. The injuries just go on. And quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I want to see the end of this season for injuries and never want them back again. Certainly never want to go through this kind of thing with injuries for the foreseeable seasons. I have to say that, but I think everybody feels like that. We do have a new member of the channel, Chris Bell. Thank you very much, Chris, for signing up to the Toon Review membership scheme and supporting of the channel, of course. If you do want to do what Chris has just done, please do. Join button is just underneath myself as well. And if you do want to donate to the channel today, you can do so by hitting that $sign at the bottom of the live comments, which will get your comments guaranteed to be read out on the show. Right, let's dive straight into the actual press conference itself. Eddie was, as usual, smiley face self. Actually, didn't really look under any strain or stress. Why would he? We're on the cusp of a very, very, very good run. Now, first of all, of course, he spoke to the media ahead of the game against Crystal Palace, and the first thing he said was the players have had a couple of days off. We've tried to use the time productively. The lads are feeling good about themselves. We don't want to lose our rhythm. We have tried to keep everything the same. We have tried to make sure we are physically where we need to be when the game kicks off. So finally, it looks like he's actually given the players a bit of a rest, a bit of time off. I know it's been sort of 10 days or something like that since their last game, but of course, Newcastle, with their injuries, with the amount of games and minutes that certain players have had to play this season, I think it's very, very good that he's given the players a bit of time off as well. That'll rejuvenate them, get them back in the spirit of things, get them going again. And of course, it's exactly what we need for tomorrow night, because let's be honest, tomorrow night is not going to be an easy game. We'll discuss this more on the preview tonight at 7 o'clock, but you look at the game itself, and Palace are in a very good vein of form at the moment. Let's be honest, they're coming off a big win against West Ham at the weekend. So this isn't going to be a game that Newcastle just turn up and think, oh, we can win. I don't think we can do that anymore in the Premier League after what's happened with certain results this season. But I do like the way that maybe Eddie's finally realised that he has to give these players a little bit of time off, a little bit of recuperation time, even though they're just training, just to get them ready and get them going for the game, of course, tomorrow night. I'm thoroughly looking forward to the game because I want to see us go out there and really press Palace. Palace have had, I think, 3 games since we last played. So we have an opportunity here to go out and use our press and use our intensity to our benefit. And I know it's a difficult place to go, Selhurst Park, certainly for Newcastle United it is. But we now have that rest period. We can play with the intensity that we know we can play with. I'm very interested to see who he goes with as the front 3 tomorrow. Dean says Palace are in form as we are, so it will be tough. Yeah, tough, but it should be a really good game. I think Palace will be going for it as well. They're playing well under the new manager. Peter says just because Wilson is on the grass doesn't mean he'll be available anytime soon. Toon Gamer says Big Joe, Pope, Trips, and Almiron not back in training, Eddie said. Yeah. There was somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody came out earlier in the week with a rumour or over the weekend and said that Joe Linton's back in training. And I thought that, well, that's very strange. I've never seen, anybody saying that. But of course, you've got to remember that the likes of Nick Pope and certainly Joe Linton himself, they will be going out on the training ground and they will be doing some sort of exercises on grass. but they won't be at full intensity of training. That doesn't mean that they're anywhere near fit enough to start the game. So I don't think Pope or Big Joe are anywhere close. Trippier, this injury with Trippier is just a mystery to me, because he was supposed to be back after the previous international break, of course, and that just seems to have gone on and on and on, which is a bit of a trait at Newcastle United, isn't it? When we say, the manager says, players will be out for a certain amount of time, and then, of course, it stretches out beyond that. So, yeah. Thank you. I like coffee. If you are liking the stream, of course, the usual guys. Good afternoon to Mason. Paul Hansen says, afternoon, Paul. Have you watched Gordon's interview with Gary Neville? It's class. I haven't actually watched it yet. I have seen on social media that there is a huge positive reaction to it, about how good Anthony Gordon comes across and maturity, etc. So I'm going to watch it this afternoon. Thoroughly looking forward to watching it, because I've seen all the real positive points that people have been bringing up on social media, which is something to look forward to for me this afternoon. Someone cancelled the TS chat for good in the last week. TalkSport, I think they're talking about there. Baz down under. It's evening, of course, over there. So I hope you're well, Baz. I hope we haven't lost our rhythm after a long break. Wilson will be available. Well, look, it is a long break, and you can look at it in two ways. Is a long break good when you're winning games? I'm not so sure it is. I think Newcastle would rather have had a game at the weekend rather than not. But this is just the way it is. I mean, look, it's the semi-finals of the FA Cup. We know that, if you're against one of those teams, you don't play, obviously. If your league fixture comes up around semi-final weekend, then you just have to miss out. But it is a little bit disappointing, obviously, that we've had to wait 10 days. But at least it's not a full 2 weeks. This Palace game has obviously been rearranged for, we had to cancel it earlier on in the season, obviously. So this is a rearranged game. So we're kind of lucky in that respect that we don't have to wait a full 2 weeks before going back out on the pitch. Peter says, Joe Linton jogging and passing the ball doesn't mean he's available at all. It's part of his recovery to build him up slowly. They won't rush him back. They will not rush him back. Craig says we should leave Pope and Joe Linton until next year. I actually agree with you. I don't see any need to rush them back this season. Obviously, dependent, I think, to the last couple of games of the season. If we need... Let's say we need to beat someone, we need a certain amount of points, and there is a possibility that Joe Linton and Nick Pope are fit to play games, then maybe put them in. But at this present time, I would agree with you, Craig. I would leave them till next season now. Just make sure they get a full recovery and a full hard-working pre-season behind them. Omar, good afternoon. Paul, remember that invite to Glasgow for that curry? Love your channel. You're a cracking lad. Genuine. Thanks, Omar. I definitely will take you up on that offer, Omar. 100%. I do have plans to come up to Glasgow. My son wants to, obviously, how he loves planes and trains. He wants to go on the train to Glasgow. So we're going to try and arrange that over the summer, Omar. So if you can drop me an email, mate. The email address is down in the description. Just so I can email you when I know a date that I'm coming up to Glasgow, and I can give you a shout. Lawrence, good afternoon. Niall says we are playing well. When we had a good break before, it didn't work well for us. I mean, we've got to be a little bit worried, haven't we? I would say a little bit worried. Maybe that the time off has just, derailed us a little bit, but we won't know that until we're on the pitch tomorrow night. I hope that we really do have an opportunity to go out there and really bust a gut and play with that high intensity that we used to. Darren says, any truth that Man United agreed to pay 15 million for Ashworth now to get him this summer? I have heard rumblings, Darren. I haven't heard anything concrete yet, but I have heard rumblings that an agreement could be imminent. But as I say, I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, yes, it's done without the club. You know how we work on this channel, Darren. We don't come out as in the know. We would rather wait for the club to announce something before we talk about it. Yeah, you can talk about transfer rumours and things like that, but actual news like that, all I'll say is I've heard rumblings, just like many fans have heard rumblings, that something has possibly been agreed, but we'll just have to wait and see. We will beat Palace 4-1, says Omar. Watch this space. I hope you're right, my friend. Let's have a look at some more comments. Julie J. Darren, it's supposed to be 12 million, 6 million now and 3 million next season, 3 million this season. I'm not sure what that's for. Alexander Isak, the amount of delusional Arsenal fans thinking they're getting Bruno and Isak for 150 million is insane. I've seen a lot going on social media today. And look, I said this the other day, that Newcastle United, right, when you've got players like Bruno and Isak, who, by the way, I think are up there with the elite, right? You are always going to get teams coming in. You're always going to get teams sniffing around them because, they want to improve their squads. Now, if you're talking about the likes of, I've seen a link for Isak to Barcelona recently. Now, if you're talking about Barcelona, that may interest Isak. It may not. However, they have both come out and said numerous times that they will be at Newcastle United next season. I find no reason myself as a fan to disagree with that or not believe them when they say that. So I'm not really worried. Bruno and Isak for 150 million, though. I mean, that's a laugh, isn't it, for a start? But there is a lot of delusional Arsenal fans, without a shadow of a doubt. Thanks, Omar. Much appreciated. Don't know what has happened to Arsenal fans, says Julie. To be honest, they're like rabid dogs. Yeah, they are. Ian says, no way is Arsenal getting Isak or Bruno. And you know what? They think they can wind us up about this as well. But I think what people have to remember is that we are no longer a pushover. We are no longer a selling side. We are no longer just bringing these players in to nurture them for the bigger boys. We are one of the bigger boys now. And I think the amount of Arsenal fans or Man United fans, they now have to start realizing that this is a process Newcastle United are on. But we are up there now, classed as one of the big boys, simply because of the backing that we have as a football club. All right, that for me is the key thing in all of this, and other fans just do not like it, guys, and it's quite funny. Paul, do you know when they will be releasing season tickets for next season? Says Geordie. All I know is that the renewals are now open now. I still don't know what I'm doing with mine, guys. Obviously, as you know, I'm in a bit of a dispute with Newcastle United because of what happened to me at the Everton game. I still haven't heard back from the club. We're nearly a month since that game, 4 weeks down the line. Nothing back from Newcastle United, which is, I think, disgusting, quite honestly. And I'm really thinking about now just maybe bowing out and just doing what Mark Goldbridge does in a way, just sticking by the channel. Doing the live games through commentary and things like that. I still get to watch Newcastle United. I have my health to worry about as well, obviously, with going to games now. So it's important that I make the right decision, but I've got a lot of time to think about. I think it's May the 20th before the renewals close. So I do have a long time to think about it. And we'll see what happens in that time with communication with Newcastle United. But as for actual season tickets, I have no idea what they're going to do with them, whether there'll be any available next season or not. Time will tell. Pope J7 and Willock should be in the garden on sun lounges watching Ashworth digging the manure. I agree, Davey. Julie J says, then there was a dig Sure Dingle made after. I've got no idea. Ash says, I'd not be worried about the break, more about Esse and Elise. As a Newcastle fan, they scare me more than the break. Yeah, we'll take a further look at them tonight because I think, it could be a very interesting going up against Palace tomorrow. Did you see the reports? We are opening contract talks with Isak in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I did see that as well. I think that's a positive, a massive positive. What we're trying to do there is, if this story is true, is obviously we are going out to make sure that we tie Isak down to a long-term deal. And I think that's massive. If we can tie him down to a long-term deal, better wages as well, he's not going to want to go to anywhere else, is he? Especially if we start challenging. Wondering if Mitchell will be the new DOF at the end of May. Sounds like a good choice. Yeah, I really like him. Lady Sam's in the chat, guys. So say hello to Lady Sam. Let's have a look at what else Eddie had to say then. So he went on to talk about Joe Willock. Now, this is interesting for me. We've decided that a period where he strengthens the area around his Achilles will benefit him more. The long-term view was taken. We will get him right for next season. Surgery wouldn't be beneficial for him in this situation. It's frustrating for Joe, but hopefully we can get him into the situation where he is playing freely next season. So, obviously, I don't think we're going to see Joe Willock back before the end of the season. This is another one who I think probably is the right decision because when he came back, he didn't look fit at all. And when you've got an Achilles injury, you've got to be so careful with the Achilles. It can be a very, very long-term injury if nothing is done. Now, I'm very interested to see that they've gone against surgery. Now, we saw this argument going on with Sven Botman earlier in the season, of course. Should he or should he not have surgery? Now, they've gone against surgery again. And that is very interesting for me. They're going to go on a sort of more of a period of rest and sort of let him recover at home. So I don't know. Baz says you still must renew your ticket. Joe says, hi, all Arsenal fans. I say this, 150 million will only buy them Bruno's little toe on his left foot. Well, maybe he's a kinder as well. Paul, don't let that bigoted lady force you out of the club you love. No, I won't. But obviously it's not just that, guys. It's obviously, as you know, as a Parkinson's sufferer, I've got to be careful, sort of going out on my own and things like that. And it's just a lot of things that I need to consider. I really do. I'm also considering my daughter. She's now turning 16 in July, so she can actually become my carer at a game. She can come along. So I may do it that way, but we'll see. We'll see. Mike says, "Wise, we will be one of the big boys in the future, and we are not interested. What rumors come out of the top 6 about our players? We're not going to sell to the cartel." Yeah, I actually don't. They're our rivals. Why would we keep doing this? Lady Sam says, "Get long-term plus a release clause for Isak." I don't like the release clauses, Sam, to be honest, but I see where you're going with that. It'll be interesting. Joe says, watch Tonali rip the Premier League to shreds next season. I can't wait to see Tonali back in action, to be honest. I really can't. That's a very interesting username, but let's hope Tonali repairs the faith and loyalty of the fans. He should hopefully be fired up with a real point to prove. Well, I did speak about this last night. He will have a point to prove. Not just to himself, but to the coaches, the management, the owners, and the fans at Newcastle United. We've seen very little of him, of course, because of what happened with his suspension. However, I did say last night that'll be off his shoulders now, and he'll be ready to go next season. He's got no worries hanging over him like he did when he came to Newcastle. That's all gone now. He served his time for the crime, if you like, and now he can concentrate on his football. And I can't wait to see him in full action. Joe says there about a Spanish contract with a 1 billion release clause for Isak. I tell you what, I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to protect your football club and one of the main players who we are going to build a side around with a huge release clause? I just think Arsenal fans just think that they can click the fingers and anybody will sign for them. It's similar to sort of anyone in the cartel, really. They think they're above everybody else. Well, not anymore. The cartel are just not above us anymore. So bugger them as far as I'm concerned. I just can't wait till we are up there challenging them season on season for trophies. I expected that a little bit this season. It's fell away a little bit, obviously. But I think, we are going to be there or thereabouts very, very shortly. And, just stick it up the backsides, basically, where the sun don't shine. Now, Eddie went on to talk about Callum Wilson. Now, this was a very interesting one. Of course, Callum Wilson has been missing for quite some time now at Newcastle United with what happened. Where was it? Where did he get that injury? Was it... I can't actually remember. I'm trying to... I can see the injury happening. Nottingham Forest, wasn't it? Callum has trained really well this week. It has been good to have him back. The energy and quality that he brings. He has come back looking really good. We anticipate we will be able to hit the ground running and make an impact for us. Right. How many times, guys, I will say this. How many times has Eddie Howe said that about Callum Wilson since he's been at the club? Now, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean I find it very hard to get excited about Callum Wilson coming back because we've heard this many, many times, and then he's back for 3 or 4 games, and then he's out for another 8 weeks or so. So I'm not putting all my eggs in this basket with Callum Wilson. I've said this before. I don't mean it as any derogatory terms against Callum. I've heard it so many times about him hitting the ground running, coming back, making an impact for us, which he does. I'm not saying he doesn't, not for a second, but he doesn't do it long enough for us. He's not fit enough long enough for us to make any sort of an impact. Will I be happy to see him back? Yes, because it does give us another option to Isak. But Callum Wilson is not going to walk straight back into this Newcastle United side. And I think anybody who thinks that needs to take the blinkers off, because there's no way that Isak is going to be left out when we're only playing one game a week. Yes, this is a little bit different. We're playing 2 this week, obviously Saturday against Sheffield United. However, the mainstay of the rest of the season is a game a week. And Callum Wilson is there to give Eddie an option to maybe not put as much pressure on Isak for the rest of the season. But Isak is going to 100% start. Ian said, could you not do a raffle for your ticket if you're not going to use it? I know an expensive gift. We want you at the games if possible. Well, Ian, the problem is I've got obviously a disabled ticket, so it's very difficult to transfer my ticket to somebody else. I've tried it a couple of times this season and been rebuffed by Newcastle saying, well, you can't just pass it on to anybody else. They're going to have to pay the difference. And then when you try and arrange for them to pay the difference, it needs putting right. Now, look, I may still get my season ticket, guys, and I may just go to a few games and want to pass my ticket on to other people throughout the season. That's not a bad idea, Ian. So we will look at that as well. Maybe we could use that money, the raffle ticket money, to send on to Parkinson's and stuff like that, the UK and charities. So we can do something that way. Julie says, not as confident as I should be about the Palace game after their wins against Liverpool and West Ham. Yeah, they beat Liverpool 1-0 at Anfield. I mean, that was a terrific performance by Crystal Palace, by the way. Very defensive performance as well. They were very resolute, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for what they did at Anfield. Anthony says, Wilson will be a welcome sight on the bench for sure. Rest Isak with 20 minutes remaining. Darren says, any word on Pope back for Sheffield United on the bench or the week after? Not as far as I'm aware, but I don't think we should risk Nick Pope, to be honest. Just my opinion. But Ian says, would like to see Wilson back, but not holding my breath. Wilson doesn't have to hold out for too long. I know there's not much more. Paul, if I had a £5 each time Eddie said it, I would be a millionaire. Yeah, exactly. I think that's, again, I'm not being disrespectful. It's just we've heard it many, many times, haven't we? And whether, can Callum Wilson come back and be fit? Hopefully. We want him fit. Of course we do. As Newcastle United fans, a fit Callum Wilson is a danger to anyone. But it's just not happened enough. Shocking game time for the fans again tomorrow, 8 p.m. London on a Wednesday night. A lesser man maybe even suggest these fixtures have been planned on purpose. Well, this one I think is a little bit different because it's a rearranged game for a game that should have happened earlier on in the season. But I think it was because we were in Europe or something like that, I think, was the reason for this being a rearranged game. And they haven't got any other time to play it. Having said that, maybe they could have played it at the weekend. Maybe they could have played it at the weekend, but obviously it doesn't work like that. Just pray Wilson stays fit until the end of the season. Otherwise, it'll be too difficult to sell him if he does go. Yeah, look, I think Callum Wilson, by all accounts, is still not very happy that he wasn't allowed to speak to Atletico Madrid in the winter window. I think it would have been given what's happened to Callum since then and the amount of minutes he's been on the pitch, I think that would have been a perfect signing. Get rid of him, go to Atletico Madrid, because we'd have been up in arms saying, "Oh, we haven't got a striker, but he's been injured." So we could have done that. The race is on for 5th place. Looking at Spurs' fixture list, they have it tough and could drop points, leaving ourselves and Man United chasing. Lawrence says, I'd keep Wilson as a squad player if his contract wasn't up next summer. Could get a fee for him next January, but better to cash in this summer. I agree. And I think we can get more for him now than we can in the winter window in January when his contract's running out. So it is an interesting point. Wilson to come back and get the goals against Man United to take the 3 points. I'd take that. It was his pec. No, not hamstring related for once. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Craig, and I think we all agree, it could be any injury with Callum, couldn't it? Whether it be his pectoral muscle, his hamstring, his calf muscle, his groin, any muscle in his body seems to, shut down or be very easily injured. But I do want him back. Peter says, why have they just broadcast the Merseyside derby and not our game? Well, the game tonight is rearranged, and that's why there's no TV for it tomorrow. So that's why. But again, you can listen to it live right here with me and Billy on Matchday Live. I'm pretty much done with Wilson. He misses way too many games. Problem is, a player with his ability will cost mega bucks. Yes, he won't be easy to replace. Absolutely not. Wilson is an out-and-out striker. We know he is. And when Wilson's at his best, he gives the centre-backs a really rough ride. He's that old-fashioned centre-forward that really likes to get stuck into the centre-backs, rough them up, give them a tough game. And that's what Callum Wilson's game is all about, which is why I think now we need to spend money on a new striker, and a lot of money on a new striker. You know, Šeško's been mentioned many, many times, and for me, he's the out-and-out one that we should go for in the summer because of the release clause that he has. The issue with Wilson is he's injured every part of his body. Indeed. Now, Lewis Miley. We won't be seeing Lewis back this season, guys. The decision was made, said Eddie, on Lewis to protect him long-term. We won't see Lewis again this season. Even if there was a chance, we took that away quite early on with his age. We are just thinking about his long-term prospect. Now, I fully agree with that. I don't know how you guys feel on that, but I think that's a very, very good decision. Take him out the firing line, let him rest for the rest of the season, and not risk, because of his age. We don't want him getting a seriously bad injury or making the injury that he already has any worse. It's a blow, and it's probably a blow to Lewis Miley, because there's still, 6 games left this season. Miley will want to have played a part in those games. I think he's done a remarkable job this season, Lewis Miley, for what he's been asked to do, given the circumstances of the injuries. But now Eddie's saying that they're taking him out. He won't be back this season. And I really do think that is fantastic. I really do. Because he'll rest up and he'll come back a stronger player next season. If you look at Elliot Anderson, everybody was saying about Elliot Anderson, is he strong enough? Is he that kind of character? He needs more bulk about him. He's gone away last summer and he's bulked up and he looks a fantastic player now. Yes, he's had his injuries this season, but when he's been on the pitch for Newcastle United, he's looked brilliant and very much in a Joe Linton-esque kind of physicality where he will get stuck in and knock people all over the place. And that's what we want to see from Lewis Miley. He's 17 years old. He's still got bulk to put on. He's got the height, just needs a bit more size on him, and he will be a fantastic midfielder for us next season in that squad. Craig says, would Šeško come here as a second striker? I don't think so. He might not be a second striker. He could go with 2 up top, but I don't think he will. Lady Sam says, just shows our investment in Miley versus Longstaff while he can play on a broken ankle. Yeah, I think lessons have been learned, haven't they? Clearly from what Eddie has said in this press conference with regards to players who won't be back this season, i.e. Willock and Miley, they're not rushing them, and they've learned lessons from players hurting themselves when they've come back from injuries this season. That's clear. That's clear now. But I just hope we can still go on and perform really well without them. Willock, of course, is an interesting one for me because if you look at Joe Willock, I don't think he's consistent enough for Newcastle United. And I remember a couple of Arsenal fans saying to me when he first signed for us, he'll have a 3 or 4 brilliant games for you, then he'll go missing for 3, 4, 5. And that seems to have happened. And yes, he's had terrible injuries, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people last night on that rebuild show that we did, which was a very, very popular show, everybody really enjoyed that. And we enjoyed doing it because it sort of gives you an idea of where each of us is looking to sort of strengthen the squad in the summer. And 2 of us had Willock to be sold, but not pushed out. I think we need to reiterate that, not pushed out. If a bid for 35, 40 million pound came in for a Joe Willock, you're going to find that very difficult to turn down. Really difficult to turn down. So in my view, if a bid did come in, we'd have to look at that very, very carefully. Paul, good afternoon. I think would be good. It'll be good for Sean Longstaff to be at somewhere like Leeds or Leicester. I think that's the standard for Sean Longstaff. Well, I agree, Choppy, mate. But a lot of people, I don't have him in the show last night. I didn't have him to be sold. Neither did Billy and Alex, and Sam didn't want him sold either. I think he's going to be a very strong. I think he's going to be a very, very strong squad player because what he can do when he's at his best, the job he does is very good. Am I missing something? How do we get Jovic on a free when he's got another year in his contract? Well, I think no. His contract runs out. I think we checked his contract last night, and it does run out in the summer. Lawrence was good that he missed the show due to football training. You can go back and watch it, Lawrence. It's on the channel, mate. Right. Now, on Crystal Palace, finally, this is what Eddie had to say. They have had 2 very good performances. That has been coming for them. Credit to the new manager who has come in and played a new system that has got the best out the players they have. For us, we can't underestimate this is going to be a difficult game against a team in form. We know we'll have to be at our best levels to win. And I think we're going to have to be at our best levels for the rest of the season, to be honest, aren't we? I know at Crystal Palace, Elise and Eze, etc., at least brilliant players who can cause us a problem. But I think what we need to realise as well as Newcastle fans is we've got brilliant players. We have excellent players who can go out there and give anybody a game. And especially the front 3. If Gordon, Barnes and Isak play again tomorrow, that will excite me as a Newcastle fan. Because I think those 3, when they get the ball, you saw the possibilities between the 3 of them, how the linking up. Isak links up well with Barnes, he links up well with Gordon. And Gordon and Barnes can cause all sorts of problems on the wings. Isak, again, with his pace through the middle, we've seen it. We saw it against Spurs. It works really well. So I think we need to take the stance of, well, let's not worry about Palace. Let's just concentrate on the good players that we're going to have out on the pitch tomorrow night and what we can do. I'm not worried about the centre-backs for us tomorrow, Burn and Shea. I'm quite happy for them. They've been very, very good for us the last couple of games. And I think it's important that we probably look at the midfield tomorrow and say, right, so it's possibly going to be, obviously Bruno's going to be in there again, working hard. Sean will start the game undoubtedly again. So, Sean's going to have to play a very interesting game. I don't know what sort of job Eddie will ask him to do tomorrow night. But against Tottenham Hotspur, I thought he did brilliantly against Maddison, kept him out of the game and did really, really well. So, and Elliot Anderson, for me, he probably will play. I'm just wondering if he's going to play that system again with the 3 centre-backs tomorrow. With the wing back, so we'll talk about that obviously tonight on the preview show. But I'm really interested to see what he does with the formation tomorrow, because I think it worked so well having Elliot Anderson and Jacob Murphy in those positions. I just think they might do it again. I really do. And Emil Kraft, he did okay, but Sharon Byrne, I'm not worried about at all. But I think. I've seen a quote from Eddie this morning as well, saying that he's not bothered about the sort of, he's more bothered about the results than anything else. He's not bothered about having the ball for the whole game. Possession stats mean nothing to Eddie. The final result does. And that was there to see for everybody in the last couple of games, that we don't necessarily have to have a lot of possession, to win football matches. And that's the thing that stands out for me now, is that he's more bothered about the results. And I think at this stage of the season, he's so right to be like that, because I don't care if we get a couple of goals tonight off people's arse cheeks and we win the game 2-0 tomorrow. I'll be happy. Jimmy Barr, welcome to Members Club, my man. Thank you very much for signing up. If Looney Tunes says, if Sean marks Eze, what about Elise? Both very dangerous players. They do have a lot of players who can hurt us. Absolutely. But we have a lot of players that can hurt them as well. And I think, yes, if Sean marks Eze out the game, we have to, cope with Elise. We obviously, Eddie will have plans for these players. He will have worked out a game plan to take these players out of the game. He's done that many, many times, and we've seen the performances of late where Eddie has studied the opposition. He's had a good week and a half to study Crystal Palace and make sure that whatever game plan he has for tomorrow night will work. And I think that's the important thing. He will have a game plan to keep these players out the game. Burn should always start as centre defence. It is where he is best. I agree. There was a video where Longstaff, Dummett and Murfinho played a prank on a group of fans who were doing a stadium tour. Yeah, I saw that. It was really funny. Niall says, I think Barnes will be on the bench as an impact sub. Yeah, well, he's got options to do that, hasn't he? That's the thing. But I don't really, the way they're playing at the minute, you look at Gordon, you look at Barnes, you look at Isak, the way they're playing at the minute, do we really want them out the side? I'm not sure we do. I really do want to see. I want to see them in the team as regular as possible. Look, these guys are big signings for us. They're our best players. So what you want to see your best players on the pitch and causing damage for the opposition. And I think that's what we can do tomorrow night. I really do. But again, it's all about time will tell, isn't it? We look at certain situations on the field and where we can be better than Palace. But I think the front three for us can cause anybody problems. And for me, I want Barnes at his best. And a Barnes at his best and a Gordon at his best will cause anybody problems. Must start the big three, says Baz. Indeed. Mike says, could you imagine? Oh, sorry, that's not it. Could you imagine where we could have been in the league if we definitely didn't have so many injuries to most of our first team players? Well, I said last night that I think that the main blow to us this season was Nick Pope. I think that the way he comes off his line commands excellence when he comes off his line, sweeps up 99% of the time. The ball comes over the top or through the middle. The guys know in the defense that the Pope is going to be there. Jock Bar, thank you for gifting 5 Toon Review memberships, my man. That is very, very kind. Really do appreciate that. Now, I'm just seeing a news flash up saying Crystal Palace had dealt a double blow ahead of the game. So we'll have a quick look at that and see what that's all about. Let's have a look. Well, one of the double blows is the fact that Bruno's playing for us and he's not suspended. That's interesting. So clearly they're very, very aware of Bruno because they've made a statement saying he's no longer walking a tightrope of a 2-match suspension if he picks up another yellow card. So they are clearly worried about him. I'm trying to see what the other double blow is that they're talking about. But they're talking about Eddie Howe's press conference. And Anthony Gordon available, so it's not really players. It's not players missing for Crystal Palace. They're worried about Bruno and Anthony Gordon. Rightly so. But you can worry about Bruno and Anthony Gordon, but you can also worry about Isak, Barnes, etc. The rest of them. So it's clear that Crystal Palace are a little bit worried about our players. So yeah, it's going to be very exciting. But there you go, guys. That is it for the press conference reaction show. Over 400 watching. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday afternoon lunchtime show. We will be back at 7 p.m. Me, Alex, Billy, and Lady Sam, of course, to preview the Crystal Palace game. And then we will have Match Day Live tomorrow night starting at 7:30. We've then got the review of the game on Thursday at 7. And then Friday at 7, we preview the Sheffield United game. And then another Match Day Live on Saturday. So we've got a lot of shows coming up. We are very busy on the channel. So thank you for watching. Please show your appreciation for the work, by the way, guys, if you would, by hitting the like button. Very, very important to the channel. But that is it. Thank you for your memberships, guys. Really do appreciate that. Thank you to the mods that were in today. But as usual, thank you to you guys for turning up and having a good conversation in the chat today regarding the game tomorrow night. But we will see you again. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon, and we'll see you at 7. See you then.
Come back and check on some